What's happening, all you minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I get to talk about my most wanted DC Omnis. So I'm going to be talking about 20 of them. It is a countdown, and again, this is my list. Let's get started. And welcome back, everybody. It is already that time of year where I get to talk about my most wanted Omnis. I'm going to be kicking it off with my most wanted DC Omnis. Later on, I'll be doing my most wanted Marvel Omnis, and then my most wanted deluxe hardcover editions from pretty much every other company. But as I was doing this list, I thought, it would be really cool to do a list of future volumes. So if there's been a volume 1 and DC forgot about it, and the same thing with Marvel, I'd love to see a volume 2. So I'll make that a separate video. I always enjoy making these type of videos. As always, I put my mapping, and then this time around, if I put more than one volume in here, if it's a volume 1 and 2, I put my 2 cover choices for them. So I would love to know what your list would be if you had a choice of top 20 most wanted DC Omnis. Leave them down in the comments below. But let's go ahead and get started with this countdown after you smash that like button. Please, because all of that, I almost said pretty please, so it became a priest. Yes, all that helps with our YouTube algorithm and our channel keep growing. And if you haven't subscribed, why not? We put out videos every day. And check out our Patreon, please. It's a great way to support the channel. Now, last year, I decided to do top 20 Batman, top 20 DC. This time around, I just merged them together, and some things have changed, honestly. Mainly because I've reread some of these stories again. I'm like, this really needs an omnibus. There are going to be some honorary mentions towards the very end of the video. But, yes, as I said about 2 minutes ago, let's go ahead and get started. Number 20. Shade, the Changing Man. This would take 2 volumes to do, and of course I am talking about Peter Milligan. And as always, I map out these books. I'll put them down here somewhere. I don't know where I'm pointing. Down here, maybe. But yes, this is Peter Milligan's run. This is when he was given pretty much free reign to do what he wanted to right before Vertigo started, and then eventually the title became a Vertigo title. It's all about Rack Shade, who's an alien from the planet Meta, who becomes stuck inside of the body of Troy. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Troy Grenzer, who's a convicted serial killer. And now the series it expands from that and focuses on the relationship between Shade, who is now inside of this convicted serial killer, and this girl named Kathy, whose parents were murdered by this convicted serial killer. I think this is Milligan's best work. Having reread some of Ecstatics, I thought, this would make a nice 2 Omni set. And hardly anybody talks about that. Plus, you got some beautiful artwork in there from Chris Bachalo for over half of the issues. Number 19, The Warlord by Mike Grell. This would take 2 volumes, and I figured with all the talk of Conan and people interested in that kind of sword and fantasy story, now would be a good time for the story of Travis Morgan, USAF Lieutenant Colonel, who got stuck in the world of Scartaris, I think? Scartaris, that's what it is. And just gets to live in this fantasy world. Man, I love this stuff when I was a kid. I used to find them in the quarter bins, and honestly, this would take 2 volumes for just the Mike Grell stuff. It did continue on after that, but now that we have, people intrigued by this world of sword and sorcery, why not, DC? This would be a perfect time to print this. All right, number 18, Legion of Superheroes by Waid, Bedard, and Shooter. That's right, so I'm making it an all-in-one. Why not? We've done that with Marvel, right? They did it with Moon Knight. Why not, DC? So this, first I thought about just the Mark Waid stuff, but no, let's wrap it up. So this collects the Legion of Superheroes run that got me into Legion of Superheroes, because Legion's always been a confusing type of story to me that I've always wanted to get into, but for some reason it was just revamping every freaking 5 years, it seems like. Then Mark Waid took over the book, and I just became intrigued. Supergirl joined the team for a while. So if you see the mapping, you'll see there are no missing issues. It's just the title became Supergirl. It had ties to, later on, the Teen Titans. I thought this was such a fun title. Even when Jim Shooter came back and took over the book, it had beautiful artwork by Francis Manapul. And that's the cover I chose. big spread page of Francis Manapul art. Number 17, Suicide Squad by John Ostrander. Of course, this would be just 2 volumes. How in the world is it we don't have a single Suicide Squad omnibus? We've had 2 movies. We've had a Peacemaker TV show. All we've had are just reprints of trade paperbacks and maybe a deluxe edition of one series. I know the Rebirth era got deluxe editions, but come on, this is the classic stuff that you're basing a lot of these movies on. Number 16, I may lose some of you all here. I don't care, it's my list. Leave yours down below. WildC.A.T.s Volume 1. Hells yes. Why? Because of the art. I own absolute WildC.A.T.s because of Jim Lee's beautiful artwork. But if you see my mapping, I wanted to go all the way through issue number 30. So yes, including the Fire from Heaven story arc in here. So you have, you know, the Alan Moore, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, James Robinson, Chris Claremont, and Travis Charest, Jay Lee. Yes! Yes, DC, please. I mean, if anything, for the art. You know, and then Alan Moore's WildC.A.T.s just became a different type of thing. And then you can make a volume 2. Number 15, Birds of Prey. Now, I went with Gail Simone's run because I think that one would sell better than Chuck Dixon's run. And I actually like Gail Simone's run a little more than I did Dixon's run. I think mainly because she added the Huntress into the story arc. And Ed Benes on artwork, man, you know, you've got... that's talent there. So I don't know how this book has not been printed before. And hopefully we'll get it sometime soon. Number 14, Supergirl by Peter David. This is a 3-volume set. Again, I will be putting my covers here. I love this story. It is a different type of Supergirl. By the way, big shout out to my buddy Glenn for reminding me of Resurrection Man issues 16 and 17. Because, yes, I added those to my mapping. But I think this is a wonderful era of Supergirl. It is a different take on Supergirl than what most people are used to. And without spoiling anything, and it's not the exact same Supergirl that you're going to be reading about when you read post Infinite Crisis, or right before Infinite Crisis when Jeff Loeb and Michael Turner created that character. This is Matrix, and, well, you know what? It would be a big spoiler if I reveal what happens in this particular story. I loved it from beginning to ending, and the fact that this is one of the rare cases where Peter David got to actually wrap up most of his stories. Yes, I realize he went and did Fallen Angel, and if you've not read that, it's wonderful. But absolutely, come on, DC, make it so. Number 13, Robin by Chuck Dixon, Volume 1. This is the Tim Drake era that made me a huge Tim Drake fan. Tim Drake decided to just go on his own because, yeah, Jean-Paul Valley is freaking nuts. So I'm going to go and be on my own, roll solo and have my own adventures. Spoiler and I are going to hang out for a while. And I love this era of Robin. Not just Robin. You'll see a couple of other books in here. But this is phenomenal. Like, you get to know more about the character. You see the dynamic between him and his father. You get to see him go to school. I don't know. I was really happy reading these every month. I found these to be just, you know... It's sometimes difficult for a writer to write teenagers and write adults at the same time. But I thought Chuck Dixon did a really good job of capturing the voice of a teenager at that time, in the 90s, right? Number 12. Oh, hell yes. Hitman, baby, by Garth Ennis, Volumes 1 and 2. This is a series that has been collected in trade paperback. It's got Garth Ennis' name. How has this not been collected in deluxe hardcovers at the very least? It would just take 2 Omnis to do all of this, including his first appearance, which I collected in here with Demon, Annual number 2. I have no idea how DC has not done this particular series, and those trade paperbacks have been out of print for years. A few of them have been gone for a long time and go for a crazy amount of money. Number 11, Green Lantern Corps. I'm never going to stop fighting this fight. 3-volume set. You have the popularity of Jeff Johns on Green Lantern. And then you have this other wonderful series that started by Dave Gibbons, and then eventually, of course, Peter Tomasi took over with wonderful artwork by Patrick Gleason, Doug Mankey. I know Peter Tomasi said that, oh yeah, they were working on it. That was 6 years ago now, on Omnis for this particular era, and nothing ever came of it. And it's never too late. They're constantly reprinting Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. This is the sister freaking title that can be read with Green Lantern. The issues in here sometimes are better than Jeff Johns' run. And I think to enjoy Jeff Johns' run, especially when you get to the Sinestro Corps War or the Blackest Night story arc, having reading like these, I think, are essential. Now, before we get to the top 10, here's a quick word from our sponsor. If you live in Europe and are interested in pre-ordering or purchasing Omnis, then you should definitely check out Wald's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC big books within the EU. Flat shipping of €9.90 for EU countries, extremely careful and sturdy packaging, emails are answered within 24 hours, and they have a superb selection of new releases and out-of-print books on their website. Just head over to WildComicShop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code NearMintCondition, all one word, at the checkout for free shipping to all EU countries with your first order. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Top 10, baby. Let's do it with Sandman Mystery Theater, Volumes 1 and 2. Everybody loves and praises Sandman. Rightly so. I do as well. But I feel like it's a sin not to talk about Sandman Mystery Theater. This was a series about Wesley Dodds, who's the original Golden Age Sandman, the guy that wears the mask. This is by Matt Wagner doing most of this stuff here, and I believe, was it Joe Casey? I can't remember who took over the book, but it only lasted 70 issues. And there was the crossover with Starman I would probably include in here. I keep going back and forth between that or not. But this is wonderful noir crime story, crime noir, not noir crime, crime noir kind of storytelling that it doesn't really get talked about, considering the name Sandman is in there, and it was being published at the same time that a lot of Neil Gaiman's Sandman was coming out. Number 9, Wonder Woman by William Messner-Loebs. I know most people will probably go with Greg Rucka, and rightly so, but for me, I think this would also help out a wonderful creator that has had horrible luck in life. I'm glad that the Hero Initiative has stepped in and helped him out find a home, because he was homeless for a while. But I would love to see the sales of this, go to him. But also in here you have the first appearance of Artemis and her becoming Wonder Woman, and of course Mike Deodato Jr. on artwork. And this also could take us right to the John Byrne era. So this is between the George Pérez and John Byrne era. We still need another omnibus in between this and George Pérez's, though. Spectre by John Ostrander, 2-volume set. Another great series. And you know what I would love to see in this one here when I was looking through covers? I want to see one of these be a gimmicky the glow-in-the-dark cover. I love those. I don't care. It's a sin of mine. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and part of me still, even though I cringe at those gimmicky covers, part of me still wants them. Aquaman by Peter David. Of course, you're going to see another Peter David book in here. And of course, it's going to be Aquaman. And I realize with my mapping in here, it goes into a little bit of the next person's run, because Peter David, unfortunately, didn't get to finish exactly the story that he wanted to tell. And, I mean, and you got to go with Aquaman on the cover with a hook, right? Like, that's got to be the hook. Like, the hook. Yeah. Because he loses his hand. Gets eaten by piranhas. Then he's got a hook. How badass was that? He grew a beard. Man. Aquaman. Just, that's the type of Aquaman that Jason Momoa plays, honestly, in the movies. But that's the first time you saw him like that. Just becoming this rugged, badass type of hero. All right, number 6. Batgirl, Cassandra Cain Omnibus. This is, I think, where a lot of people split with Batgirl. Some people like Stephanie Brown. Some people like Barbara Gordon. My Batgirl will forever be Cassandra Cain. I thought she was a wonderful character introduced through No Man's Land. She was original in the way that she communicated at first through violence, and then she got her own series, and I always wondered how Kelly Puckett was going to handle that, but I thought it was done really well. Damian Scott's applying a lot of the artwork towards the beginning, and I want to kick it off with a volume 1. It would really take just 2 volumes to wrap up this series, but why be greedy? This is look at that mapping! I did the work for you! DC, please! Make that happen. But yeah, if you've not read this stuff, it's phenomenal. And unfortunately, a lot of those trades have been out of print for a while. So hopefully we'll get some kind of reprints. If not, hey, an omnibus. Number 5, of course, I'm talking about more Bat Family, and that is my favorite run on Nightwing, and that is Chuck Dixon's run. So this is the Bloodhaven era. This is when Nightwing kind of became his own man, when he decided, this is after Prodigal, where he feels betrayed that Bruce Wayne didn't ask him to step up and be Batman. And then he realizes, I love Bruce. I love what he does. But I never want to be Bruce Wayne. I'm Dick Grayson, and I'm my own person. And this is one of the stories that also brought me back to comics, too, through my dark times in my life. And I think it's just unique to see this young guy that grew up as a sidekick step up and be leader of the Teen Titans for a while, and then try to come back to Batman from time to time, and then realize this life is not for me. So he leaves Gotham City to go to Bloodhaven, which is a darker, grittier city to Gotham, believe it or not, and starts his life there as a police officer and also fighting. Oh, this era of Nightwing is just phenomenal. This era of the Bat family I've really enjoyed, and those are available in trade paperback. And the way that I've got this mapped, I did have year one kicking it off because I think it's such a good story. Plus, you got Scott McDaniel on artwork. Oh, his art is just awesome. Number 4, Secret Six by Gail Simone. I love John Ostrander's Suicide Squad. I added it onto my top 20. But Secret Six was just, to me, superior. Starting off with the whole Villains United arc right before Infinite Crisis, and then just those 6 characters coming together, and then, of course, bad things happen to some of them. I freaking love the Secret Six, and how is it that we do not have a volume, like any omnibus of the Secret Six here? So hopefully we will get her run collected one day in omnibus format. This is one that a lot of people agree with me. Like, how is this not a thing? And even new people do the omnibus game. They come in like, hey, Omar, I was wondering, I've just started collecting omnis. Is there a Gail Simone Secret Six omni? And I always hate to break their hearts. No, but there are trades, so at least there's that. All right, number 3, baby. Now, in my previous years, I said Hellblazer by everybody. Yes, one day. But in this, I said Hellblazer by Jamie Delano, because we have Hellblazer by Garth Ennis. So this collects what kicks it off with Swamp Thing 76 and 77, and then those missing issues there that you're going to see of Hellblazer are the ones that he then writes. So those can be found in the Garth Ennis omnibus. But, of course, hopefully there'll be more creator-centric omnis later on with Hellblazer. That'd be really cool. But in this, I didn't miss any issues. So I included the issues 25 through 27, which of course are written by Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman. I mean, why not include those? Number 2, Batman the Caped Crusader Omnibus Volume 1, or Batman Post Crisis on Infinite Earths is what it really is. So collecting those early appearances of Batman right after Crisis on Infinite Earths and kicking it off with year 1, because I think that is the proper way to kick off this particular era. Kicking it off with the new origin, and the origin that pretty much everybody has used since then. Nobody has gone back and retconned hardly, well, some things, but not the big part of the story. But absolutely, how is this not a thing? I'm really surprised, the Batman choices that we've gotten lately for Omnis. Like, we're not starting at the beginning. We're kind of going with the big events, and that's great. I love when they do that, but go back to this, because this means a lot to people. And I know Silver Age and Golden Age are doing those in chronological order, which is great for the people that enjoy those. All right, here are some honorary mentions. Gen 13, of course, making it on the list, again, for the artwork. Starman. I kept going back and forth. Should I make Starman an omnibus? They lied to me and they broke my heart. They said it was coming, and then they said, nope, compendium. So at least we have compendiums for people that have been wanting to read the story for a long time. Maybe I'll make it on the list next year. I love changing the list every year. Superman by Jeff Johns. Surprised that's not a thing yet. I mean, Jeff Johns has had an omnibus of just about everything that he's written. Manhunter by Andreyko. Another one that I've been fighting the fight for a long time, and that wouldn't really take a lot, honestly. The Connor Hawke years of Green Arrow, so past the Mike Grell stuff when Chuck Dixon took over the run, to that one issue, issue 100, and then Connor Hawke becomes Green Arrow. Thought this was another great era of a legacy character kind of taking on the role of the main character. Fables. I know we had an announcement of an Absolute that got canceled, but I think it would fit better, especially with 150. Well, now there's going to be more, 150 plus issues. I think it would be a better fit in omnibus format. And of course, the one that everybody wants, but I'm with you all. Marvel versus DC. Lawyers aside, make this happen for the fans. I know it's almost impossible to say that, but like, of course. And the number one choice, if you've been watching my channel for a long time now, you already know what it is. And some of you will probably agree with me. Superman the Man of Steel, Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2. Oh my gosh. We have the Man of Steel hardcovers. This was announced as an omnibus, and then they canceled it, and they gave us hardcovers. Okay, great start. But it's time. It's time that, you know, John Byrne's relaunch of Superman gets the omnibus treatment. And it would just take 2 omnis, taking us to the Triangle years. Yeah. This is one that I definitely want in omnibus format, and hopefully one day DC, you know, I think this one will come, honestly. Hopefully when I make this list next year, you're going to be like, oh, hey, remember, Omar, when you did that list for like 4 or 5 years in a row, and hey, it's finally here. Because, I mean, some of the ones that I talked about last year made it, like Flash by Jeff Johns, The Question by Dennis O'Neil, not Jeff Johns, I'm sorry, Mark Waid, Ed Brubaker's Catwoman. So some of them that I talked about last year made it official. So that's great. But yes, if and when these books come out, check out our sponsor here in America. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was my top 20 list. I would love to know what your list is. Leave them down below. Even if you don't have 20, if you have 10, 15, whatever it is, leave your list down below. If you have comments, what you think about the mapping, what you would add to the mapping or take away from the mapping, by all means, please leave that down below. I love communicating and talking to you all. It is definitely one of the biggest things that I enjoy about making videos. But that's it. Check out our Patreon. We are on Spreadshop too, where you can get stickers on, or our logo on stickers and t-shirts, and other shirt designs too, especially con season coming up. Melanie and I think, are attending Heroes Con, so you may see some near mint condition t-shirts there being worn. Hopefully by more than just me. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.